In the heart of the bustling village of Obalende lived a woman named Omolara. She was known far and wide for her resilience, having faced numerous trials early in life. Due to a tragic turn of events within her family, Omolara was unable to complete her education. She became a single mother, raising her child alone with the little she could earn from her small catering business. In 2021, Omolara met a man named Ade, a charismatic preacher who seemed to have been sent by the gods. Ade admired Omolara's strength and experience, telling her that he needed a wife who could endure the hardships of life with him as he fulfilled his spiritual calling. Flattered by his words, Omolara accepted his proposal, believing that she had finally found a partner who would cherish her. But within 3 days of their marriage, Omolara's hopes were shattered. Ade revealed a side of himself that was darker than the stormiest night. He began to physically abuse her, something Omolara initially dismissed as a test from the spirits. But as the days turned into weeks, the abuse grew more intense. Omolara, feeling like a burden, used her savings to open a foodstuff shop, hoping to support her husband and bring peace to their home. Yet, Ade only grew more cruel. He isolated Omolara from her family, forbidding them from visiting their home. He stripped her of her role as the pastor's wife, accusing her of sins she had never committed. Omolara's attempts to reach out to him were met with coldness and hostility. He would ignore her calls, throw her out of the house, and call her a bad omen. Unknown to Omolara, before their marriage, Ade had been entangled with another woman in the village, a woman named Bosede. Bosede, once a devoted follower in Ada's congregation, fought fiercely for her place in his life. Though Ade had promised Omolara that his past with Bosede was over, she soon realized that their affair had never truly ended. Under the weight of constant fear and violence, Omolara's health began to deteriorate. She suffered from high blood pressure, depression, and endured several miscarriages, each one more heartbreaking than the last. Her prayers seemed to fall on deaf ears as Ade's hatred for her only deepened. One day, after yet another violent episode that led to another miscarriage, Omolara decided she needed to step away. She left their home, hoping that distance might bring Ade to his senses. But since that day in March, he had neither checked on her nor their daughter. Instead, Omolara received a message from Bosede, who boasted that she had regained her hold over Ade and had taken Omolara's place. When Omolara reached out to Ade for support for their daughter, his response shattered her heart. He coldly told her that he had moved on and found another woman he wished to marry. He demanded that Omolara return their daughter if she could not care for her and to leave the home, as he considered their marriage over. Despite the pain, Omolara's heart still held on to the love she had for Ade. She could not imagine starting a new life with another man. She blamed herself for leaving, and her prayers for reconciliation continued. But fear for her safety and the well-being of her children began to gnaw at her. Seeking guidance, Omolara visited various elders and seers in the village. Some told her that Ade would eventually return to her, while others warned that going back would only bring more suffering. Torn and uncertain, Omolara shared her story with the women of the village, hoping for advice. As Omolara sat by the river, tears in her eyes, she wondered whether she should continue to wait for the man she once loved, or if it was time to let go and protect herself and her children. The women of the village gathered around her, their hearts heavy with her pain. They told her the story of the baobab tree, which stood tall and proud, but had roots that were shallow. When the storm came, the tree fell, unable to withstand the wind. Omolara, they said, you are like the baobab. You are strong, but you cannot stand alone against a storm. You must find deeper roots, a place where you and your children can thrive. As the sun rose over the village of Obalende, Omolara stood outside her modest home, her heart heavy with the weight of the decision she had made. The words of the village women echoed in her mind. Omolara had spent the previous night packing what little she had. She knew she couldn't stay in the house that had seen so much pain, a place where every corner reminded her of the life she had hoped for but never received. She was determined to find the place where she and her daughter could start anew, free from the shadows of her past. As she prepared to leave, her daughter, little Adun, tugged at her mother's wrapper, sensing the unease in the air. "Mama, where are we going?" she asked, her innocent eyes wide with curiosity. Omolara knelt down and took her daughter's small hands in her own. "We are going to find a new home, Adun. A place where we can be happy and safe. We will plant new roots, and together we will grow strong like the Iroko tree." The young girl's trust gave Omolara the strength she needed to take the first step on their new journey. As they walked through the village, Omolara couldn't help but feel the weight of the stares from the villagers. Some looked at her with pity, while others whispering among themselves. She knew that words of her departure would soon reach Ade, but she no longer cared what he or anyone else thought. Her only focus was on securing a future for herself and her daughter. Omolara decided to seek refuge in the neighboring village of Ilesha, where she had distant relatives. They had always been kind to her in the past, and she hoped they would offer her a place to stay while she figured out her next steps. The journey to Ilesha was long, and as they traveled, Omolara shared stories with Adun to keep her spirits high. They walked through fields and forests, and as the day turned to dusk, they finally reached Ilesha. The village was smaller and quieter than Obalende, with a serene atmosphere that immediately brought Omolara a sense of calm. She approached the home of her relatives, an elderly couple named Baba and Mama Olufemi, who had always treated her with kindness. Baba Olufemi was sitting outside his home when Omolara and Adun arrived. His face lit up with surprise and concern as he saw them approaching. "Omolara, what brings you here at this hour, my daughter?" Omolara felt a lump in her throat as she struggled to find the words. "Baba, I have come to ask for your help. I need a place to stay, just for a little while. I can explain everything, but right now, I just need to rest." Without hesitation, Baba Olufemi ushered them inside. Mama Olufemi, upon seeing Omolara and Adun, immediately began preparing a warm meal. The warmth of their hospitality was overwhelming, and for the first time in months, Omolara felt a glimmer of hope. As they sat down to eat, Omolara shared her story with the Olufemis, her voice trembling as she recounted the hardships she had endured.